From Scandinavia's icy fjords emerged a fierce seafaring people, farmers by day, raiders by dawn. The world would soon know them as the Vikings. Vikings came from Norway, Sweden, and Denmark, born in a harsh land that forged hard people, hungry for adventure, trade, conquest, and eternal fame. Their long ships cut through oceans like arrows, sleek, deadly, and silent. No coast was safe, no river too narrow for their dragon-headed vessels. In 793 AD, they struck Lindisfarne, a peaceful English monastery. The attack stunned Christian Europe and marked the beginning of the Viking Age. But not all Vikings were raiders. Many were traders, settlers, and explorers, forging paths to Asia, North Africa, and even far-off Finland, America. They believed in Norse gods Odin, Thor, Freyjand in Valhalla, where fallen warriors drank and battled eternally, honored by the gods for their bravery. Viking society had chieftains and thing, assemblies, yearly parliaments where free men debated, made laws, and resolved disputes with words or steel. They carried axes, not just swords. Strong, brutal, and easy to forge Viking axes split shields, shattered doors, and carved paths through kingdoms. Vikings raided the British Isles, France, Iberia, even Italy. They sacked Paris in 845 AD, forcing the Franks to pay a ransom to avoid total destruction. They navigated by sunstones, sea currents, and stars. Long before compasses, they crossed stormy seas with instinct and centuries of passed-down wisdom. Norse women held surprising rights, owning land, divorcing husbands, and commanding ships. Shield maidens fought beside men, feared and respected. Ragnar Lodbrok, Bjorn Ironside, Ivar the Boneless, legendary warriors who blurred the line between myth and reality, feared by all who heard their names. They settled Iceland, Greenland, and even built outposts in North America. Leif Erikson likely reached Vinland around 500 years before Columbus. In 866 AD, they captured York and formed the Danelaw Viking-ruled zone in England, where Norse laws and customs shaped British culture for generations. In France, Vikings became Normans. Rollo, a Viking chief, was granted land by the French king. His descendants would one day conquer England in 1066. Vikings influenced Russia too. The Varangians sailed down rivers to trade with Byzantium. The word Russ may come from these Norse adventurers. They didn't wear horned helmets. That myth came from 19th century opera. Real Viking helmets were iron, simple, and built for battle, not show. They built wooden stave churches and carved runestones, artistic, spiritual, and mysterious. These relics still whisper tales of old Norse glory. Raiding slowly turned to ruling. Vikings became kings, earls, and duke, establishing dynasties that would shape medieval Europe for centuries to come. In 1013, King Sweyn Forkbeard of Denmark conquered England. His son Knut ruled a North Sea empire. England, Denmark, Norway briefly united by blood. But times changed. Christianity spread. Missionaries converted kings. Old gods faded, churches rose, and Valhalla gave way to heaven and hell. New weapons, stronger fortresses, and rising kingdoms resisted Viking raids. Europe grew tougher, more organized, and less afraid. In 1066, the last great Viking invasion failed. Harold Hardrada was killed at Stamford Bridge just weeks before William the Conqueror, a Norman, invaded. By the 12th century, the Viking Age was over. But their legacy lived on in languages, law, ships, and bloodlines across Europe and beyond. From warriors to kings, raiders to traders, the Vikings evolved. Their sagas told of vengeance, love, betrayal, and the eternal search for honor. Iceland preserved Viking stories, the Eddas, and sagas written long after the swords were sheathed, but burning with the fire of ancestral glory. Vikings left lasting marks on English, French, and Slavic languages. Words like knife, sky, and Thursday owe their roots to Norse influence. They changed warfare, introducing naval mobility, shock raids, and psychological terror. Enemies built towers not to see beauty, but to see Vikings coming. Even after conversion, Viking spirit endured. Exploration, resilience, and daring became core values of Scandinavian culture through the ages. Modern reenactments, festivals, and TV shows like Vikings revived global fascination, though history is often blurred by Hollywood steel and smoke. Viking burial mounds reveal wealth and ritual boats filled with weapons, tools, and sometimes sacrificed animals or slaves for the afterlife journey. Runes weren't just letters, they were symbols of power. Vikings carved them into stone, weapons, and amulets, believing in their magic and messages. From fjords to the Mediterranean, Vikings traded furs, slaves, amber, and silver. They were economic as well as military forces, shaping medieval markets. They adapted fast, adopting local customs, languages, and gods. Vikings became citizens, not just invaders, blending cultures wherever they went. Norse mythology outlived the Viking Age. Thor, Loki, and Odin still echo today in comics, movies, and names of days echoes of a thunderous past. Viking democracy inspired ideas of freedom and law. Their thing assemblies were rough, but real a voice for freemen, centuries ahead of their time. Archaeologists still unearth Viking treasure coins, weapons, ships hidden for centuries. Each find rewrites a little more of their sprawling saga. Though feared in their time, today Vikings inspire awe. They were flawed, fierce, and fascinating pioneers of both chaos and culture. From frostbitten farms to world-shaking raids, they built a legacy of courage, ambition, and myth. Their names live on in echoes, legends, and blood. The Viking Age ended, but its fire never died. Every warrior tale, every carved rune, is a spark from a past too bold, to fade into silence. If you crave history that strikes like a blade and echoes through time, subscribe now and join us every week for legendary stories told in under 5 minutes. Which leader from history deserves their story told next? Comment below and help shape the future of this series. Your voice decides who conquers next. New epic shorts posted every weekday and full historical episodes every Saturday. This is not just history. This is the war drum of time.